My name is Dr. Jack Lewis. I'm a neuroscientist, and I'm on a journey to understand everything there is to know about the human brain. The human brain is the most complex part of our body. Many mysteries remain about how this most vital of vital organs controls every aspect of our lives. But over the last few decades, our knowledge has expanded in leaps and bounds.
That was a shock to the system.
Now we're getting ready to push it to the limits, finding out how our brains react to unusual conditions and surprising challenges.
This is the strangest experience of my life.
Let's do it. I'm setting out on a journey. A journey to meet some people with remarkable neurological conditions.
One of the most common questions is, how is it wired to your brain?
That give us a unique insight into the inner workings of the brain.
I discovered people who are able to remember almost every day of their life.
In this episode, Wakey Wakey, it's all about sleep.
No! Get out!
I'll meet two people whose uncontrollable urge to sleep dominates their lives.
I fell asleep in swimming pools.
What?
Yes.
In the pool?
In the actual pool twice.
I was asleep for years, like a good couple of years.
We'll be hosting our very own sleep deprivation lab.
Are you ready? You got 16.
So it's about 5:40 a.m. now.
I'll be getting a very strange night's sleep.
My first experience of a sleep lab is going really well.
And I'll be joined by Pete Heat, who'll be finding out how awake you are. What's going on deep inside your head? Join me to uncover the secrets of the brain.
Chin chin.
How do you usually feel when you wake up? Fresh as a daisy, ready to leap out of bed? Or does the alarm send you straight into hiding back under the duvet? We spend a third of our lives in a state of unconsciousness. But the reason for sleep has long been an enigma to neuroscience. We all know that a lack of sleep can leave us feeling grumpy or foggy-headed. But did you know it can also affect your looks, your health, your memory, your sex life, and even your ability to lose weight? Sleep is vital to well-being, and if you don't get enough of it, there's a price to pay. And what better man to take advantage of that groggy morning feeling than magician Pete Heat?
Would you consider yourself to be like a morning person or more of an evening person?
Definitely morning.
A morning person, okay, good, all right. So you're feeling pretty alert right now, you're in your prime, you're at your peak. You had a coffee? No, okay, you need to get this woman a coffee. The reason I ask, we're gonna play kind of a game, okay? And it's a sort of an observation test, okay, to see how alert you are, how awake you are. Have you ever seen that game that people do on the street sometimes where they have 3 cards on a little table and they mix the cards around really quickly and you have to sort of try and follow one of the cards? It's based on that, okay, so you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna use 2 cards though. The first card, Queen of Diamonds, and I'm gonna get you to just hold on to that in your left hand for me, perfect. Okay, so all you need to remember for the whole kind of game is which card you're holding, okay? Do you remember what it was?
Yep.
What is it?
Queen of Diamonds.
Right, you can check if you want, I haven't changed it. Yeah, it's still there? Okay,
I
good.
believe you.
All right, good. You shouldn't, I'm a cheat and a liar. But no, Queen of Diamonds, yeah, then you've just checked, so you know that. Okay, so I've got a very similar card, but I've got the Queen of Hearts, okay? So Diamonds, Hearts. Which one have I got?
Queen of Hearts.
Correct, okay, so it's pretty easy so far. But I'm gonna try and confuse you and hopefully you'll forget which one it is that you're holding eventually, right? So there's diamonds for now, obviously, right? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna firstly just swap them over like this. So which one have I got here?
Queen of Diamonds.
Correct, okay, yep. And then the last thing is this one. So I've got diamonds, and if I just do this, without looking at that, what would you bet on? So without looking at that, would you say that, actually, would you say that that's switched then? Or would you say that I just pretended to do something and didn't actually switch it? What would you say?
Just pretended.
Okay, so you're still holding, I can't remember.
Hearts.
You're still holding hearts, yeah, that's what it was, right? So hearts, diamonds, yeah? Okay, good, all right. Are you pretty confident in that?
No.
No. I'll tell you what, turn them over. Turn your whole hand over.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
No, mate. No, it's no, it's impossible.
How did he do that? I'm still awake in it.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it. No, I was watching his hands the whole time and just didn't see anything.
He just touched it and it changed to like clothes.
He told me to concentrate as well. I was, so it was very strange.
I'm alert, but he did not take that from my hand. I didn't feel it anyway.
Pete's trick is based on his ability to divert attention and distract you. The worse you've slept, the easier it'll be for him to do it. Just imagine the kind of tricks Pete could play if you haven't slept at all. So we know how things should work when it comes to going to sleep. We lie down, relax, and the brain does all the rest. But what happens if we don't let it go to sleep at all? I want to see firsthand the direct effects of losing just one night's sleep. Can't be that bad, right? For the next 12 hours, 5 human guinea pigs are going to be staying in the Secrets of the Brain Sleep Lab. Or perhaps more appropriately, the Sleep Deprivation Lab, because we're going to be keeping them up all night in order to see what effects that has on their brain. Joining me is sleep expert Dr. Peter Venn. So behind we've got 5 lovely people who've volunteered to allow us to sleep deprive them tonight. And right now they've been awake for about 12 hours. In 12 hours' time, they'll have been awake for 24 hours. So what are the tests that we're actually going to do?
So what we're going to do is to put them through the same test tonight and tomorrow morning. So they'll act as their own controls. So if you're good at a test tonight, when you do it tomorrow morning, we'll see what has changed in you.
So, on to the first round of tests. It's not my guinea pig's usual bedtime yet, so they should still be on the ball. So this test is incredibly easy. All you have to do is walk in a straight line. The only twist is you have to do it blindfolded. This looks at our spatial awareness. That's our ability to know where we are, where we want to go, and how to navigate between the two. This seemingly simple skill relies on many parts of the brain working in unison. Here we have a straightforward ruler. I'm going to suspend it above your thumb and forefinger. I'm going to drop it at an unexpected moment, and your job is to catch it before it hits the ground. Are you ready? The ruler drop tests for alertness, which is modulated by a structure deep in the brain called the reticular activating system. The more alert we are, the quicker we'll catch it. And
93.
Next up is a test of the student's cognitive function.
79.
Controlled by the prefrontal cortex and parietal cortex.
60.
These enable us to perform calculations like counting back in sevens from 100.
7.
93. 86.
Combining intellect with precision muscle control, courtesy of the cerebellum, you should be able to tackle our tricky tongue twisters without tripping over your own lips. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck?
If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Freshly fried flying fish, freshly fried flesh.
Freshly fried frying fish.
Freshly fried flesh.
Right, test's over. Time for me to find out more about sleep.
Sleep is a very interesting concept. I mean, until about 15, 20 years ago, people just regarded sleep as an absence of wakefulness. But of course, we know far more about it now.
So why do we sleep?
We think that sleep has 2 main functions. It seems to be restorative as far as the brain's concerned, and it also seems to organise the brain sort of to what we need to keep in memory and consolidate, what we need to throw out that we don't really need in experience. And if we don't get enough sleep, one of the consequences we know is that health suffers.
Like, what is the recommended dose of sleep? on average in the world these days?
You are most likely to survive if you get 7 to 8 hours sleep a night. We know that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night are probably going to go on to develop high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, and type 2 diabetes. And these things develop chronically if you're deprived over many years into diabetes with all the cardiac risks.
When we're sleep deprived, what kind of brain abilities start to malfunction?
So we've got 3 areas of the brain to think about. The cognitive function, which is the first thing that becomes impaired.
70.
28.
No.
5.
10. 3. 0.
And then we have other parts as well, so memory can be impaired. And then the third thing that can suffer is connected with alertness.
Nice.
And all these 3 different functions start to show deprivation when we are sleep deprived. One of the things that happens is that sleep deprivation acts very like having alcohol or very like having sedative drugs. And in fact, there are sort of layers in the brain that you can look at shutting down both with drugs, alcohol, and with sleep deprivation.
To make sure our discussion doesn't send our volunteers to sleep, it's time to leave them to it. Okay, guys, the time is 11:15. We've got your baseline levels on all those different tests, so I'm going to leave you to it. Don't forget, sleeping is cheating. We really do need you to stay awake until the morning comes. But you also can't drink coffee or booze. That would also count as cheating. So I'll see you all in the morning, all right? Good luck. Have a good night. I'll be back with Dr. Venn in the morning to see how they fare at the exact same tests after a sleepless night. So how did you sleep last night? Have a look at this and pay attention to what Pete's doing very carefully. I want you to count how many times this pack of cards is shuffled. That was 1. Here comes the next. What number of shuffles are you up to now? Around about 4? Well, actually, that wasn't the real test. You might think you're feeling perfectly alert. Whilst you were watching, we changed 4 things that Pete was wearing. He took off his bracelet, his watch, his hanky, and his scarf. Did you catch all that? Thanks, Pete. We all have the occasional night of fitful sleep, whether it's because we're excited, anxious, jet-lagged, or maybe even looking after a new baby. But we can usually be confident of catching up at some point. For some, however, a good night's sleep is a distant memory. 27-year-old Michael Dawson and 18-year-old Amelia Bay have both been diagnosed with severe sleep disorders. But their condition involves more than just a disturbed night's sleep. It leaves them continually on the verge of sleep throughout the day. Narcolepsy is a rare brain disorder that causes a person to suddenly fall asleep at inappropriate times. As well as falling asleep suddenly and without warning, people with the condition might also suffer a temporary loss of muscle control called cataplexy, which is often triggered in response to strong emotional experiences like laughter and anger. Amelia's narcolepsy came on so suddenly that life for her and her family changed overnight.
Came on at 12.5, very severely, very quickly. A short illness of a general flu.
I was asleep for years, like a good couple of years I was asleep. For when I'd wake up, it would just be for the toilet or something to eat. My education and socialising just went down the drain because I just had no energy whatsoever. My cataplexy was the worst, and I think that's what made us notice that there was something wrong. I'd start laughing and my knees would like buckle and like my head was going, and I'd be eating and falling asleep in my food.
At that point I was very, very frightened. I had shadow her everywhere, from going up the stairs. If she went in the shower, the door would have to to be left open. It affected the whole family, basically, our grandparents. It breaks the heart.
Most cases of narcolepsy begin after the person suffers an assault on the immune system, like a viral infection. Brain cells in the hypothalamus then get attacked by the immune system, which loses the ability to manufacture hypocretin, which regulates sleep. Michael and Amelia are both under the care of Dr. Paul Redding, President of the British Sleep Society and one of the world's leading neurologists specialising in sleep disorders.
People with narcolepsy are deemed as being a bit maybe lazy or sleepy after lunch, for example, but in fact, in its full-blown form, it's a disabling condition. So it affects every aspect of life. It tends to affect young people, so their social development is affected, their schooling is affected. People tend to end up with boring jobs, so they fall asleep and get the sack quite easily. And most patients have a never-ending cycle of underachievement with narcolepsy. It really is a disabling condition.
Narcolepsy usually begins between the ages of 15 and 25. But it can become apparent at any age. In many cases, narcolepsy is undiagnosed and therefore untreated. Whilst Amelia has had to adjust to her narcolepsy since childhood, Michael has only just been diagnosed. I want to find out what it's like to suddenly have this condition, so I've arranged to meet him and hear firsthand how he's coping.
How you doing? You good?
Michael, right?
Yeah, very well.
I'm Jack, pleased to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So, here we are at the bowling.
Here we are.
Nice and bright, nice and noisy.
I like it.
I understand that's pretty useful.
It is, yeah. Dark rooms are a problem for me, so yeah. Lighter the better, louder the better.
So tell me about narcolepsy. What does it involve?
Narcolepsy, it's fighting the urge to sleep. So you know when you're always dropping off? So you can either like let it win, well, most of the time, depends on the situation if it wins. I think the more my brain's engaged, it helps.
How long has the cataplexy been going on for?
Well, but since I got diagnosed as narcoleptic.
So it sounds like it's a concern for you.
Cataplexy is a major worry in my life, yeah. So I've got a 1-year-old daughter, you know.
Michael's cataplexy is triggered by emotional events.
I've worked since I was 17, so obviously there's been moments when I've been sleepy and people would say to me, oh, you can fall asleep anywhere. I fell asleep in swimming pools.
What?
Yes.
In the pool?
In the actual pool twice, on 2 separate occasions. So you can have like mild attacks, so I could be like watching a comedy, I could laugh and you know my jaw would drop or I'd shake like this, or you can have bad attacks, which I've had plenty. Most of my attacks have been on stairs, so if I crawl upstairs now. My partner's on it, like, she's getting used to attacks. She can see when I'm going to have an attack, and she literally, like, will rugby tackle me to make sure that I don't bang my head. You know what I mean? She'll get me down to the floor in any way it means possible.
Oh, wow.
To save me.
What a heroine.
Yeah, she's a hero, man.
For Michael's doctor, his form of narcolepsy displays the classic signs of a chaotic sleep-wake cycle. Most of us would only reach deep sleep, otherwise called REM sleep, after around 90 minutes.
So this pattern that we see here is very typical for someone with narcolepsy. Over 24 hours, sleep-wake chaos. This is something that Michael reports and is very typical. So in normal people, we have a nice sleep-wake cycle here. Wakefulness during the day, maintained, and overnight, a very orchestrated pattern of deep non-REM and REM sleep here shown in the blue bars. Then we fast forward to narcolepsy, and this is basically 24/7 sleep-wake chaos. So no discernible pattern to the sleep architecture, and during the day we have lots of daytime naps in which there are REM sleep intrusions, which there shouldn't be. It should take at least an hour to go into REM sleep, but this person's going to REM sleep very quickly in his naps as well as during his overnight sleep. So that really sums up narcolepsy, sleep-wake chaos.
For Michael, it's about learning to live with this rare condition. But coming up, we'll see how fellow sufferer Amelia has found an unusual way to try and control her sleep attacks. What Michael's condition shows us is that if our brain's ability to regulate sleep goes wrong, it can have life-changing consequences. But how does a normal night's sleep start for the rest of us? When we go to sleep, the brain doesn't just shut down in one go like a computer. In fact, it puts us to sleep in a series of stages. Sleep starts in 2 areas of the brain that produce deep or slow wave sleep. When certain groups of cells in the hypothalamus and the brainstem switch on, it triggers a gradual loss of consciousness.
If it works well, and your sleep cycles are allowed to play out for the correct amount of time, you should wake up feeling fresh and alert.
Have a look at this. We're worried Pete Heat's been looking a bit tired, so we've decided to test his alertness. Read this sentence carefully. Pete didn't spot it, and most people don't. Have another look. If you notice that the word "the" appears twice, you're particularly alert. So what have we found out so far? Michael and Amelia's condition and our own ability to stay alert and awake illustrates that sleep is a complex and ever-changing process carefully orchestrated by the brain. And it's something that we should not take for granted.
Our poor student guinea pigs are going to miss a whole night's sleep, so we can find out how much sleep deprivation affects our brain's ability to function. But is it the length of that sleep that's important, or is there more to it?
I want to find out what happens in those mysterious 8 hours when the lucky ones amongst us are out for the count. So while they stay wide awake, I'm off to Dr. Ven's sleep lab for a good night's kip. All in the name of science, you understand.
Oh, Jack.
Hello, how you doing?
Nice to see you again.
So I don't know why I'm surprised that this feels like a hospital, because I thought it was a sleep lab, but I guess you treat people that have sleep disorders. What can I expect from tonight?
Well, we are going to take you down to your bedroom, start to wire you up, do a lot of monitoring. We're going to look at your brain waves, which we can analyse to tell when you're awake and when you're asleep, what type of sleep you're in, whether you're dreaming or not. We're going to record movements, record your breathing, record some things about your heart and your cardiovascular system, how well you sleep, and whether there's anything disrupting your sleep at any time during the night, which can all be analysed by very clever people who can write a report and tell us just how well you slept.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Time for me to get wired up with the help of sleep technician Slavka Chudovska.
Dr. Ven tells me the more things you put on me, the better I'll sleep.
You feel more secure, so that's why maybe the people sleep better.
Oh, that's really interesting.
I'm having EMG electrodes stuck to my body, neck and face to monitor my muscle movements. EEG electrodes on my scalp to detect my brain waves.
I'm feeling very sleepy.
And an ECG monitor for my heart. On top of all that, there's an oxygen saturation monitor on my finger and...
How do I look?
Excellent.
Last but not least, a nose contraption to keep track of my breathing. That's a lot of wires.
Keep your eyes closed for me for a second, please.
You are not joking. Oh, wait, you're going to cut me out again?
I'm going to cut the hole for your face, so keep your eyes closed still until I'll tell you, please.
This is the strangest experience of my life, bar none.
So, my first experience of a sleep lab is going really well. It gets better. It's like some kind of strange waterproof duvet. Rustly, just the way I like it.
See you in a bit.
All the data taken from my body and brain over the next 8 hours will be fed directly into Slavka's computer, which will create a detailed profile of what's really happening to me whilst I sleep.
It looks like he went to sleep.
While I'm drifting happily off to the land of Nod, how are our sleep-starved students getting on?
It's 3:36 a.m. We just played a game of cards after watching TV for a while to see if that would help at all, just to actually use the brain a bit more than just lounging there. And I'm not sure if it did help much. I feel a little bit perkier now, but at the time, even at the table playing cards, I thought I was going to fall asleep on the table.
So it's about 5:40 a.m. now. I've been awake for... Oh, I don't actually know. My maths skills aren't very good right now. The urge to sleep is quite a nice feeling. I can't wait to get into my bed later, but that's another 6 hours away at least. I think I'm gonna have to get up and get my body moving so I don't lie down.
It's about 7:20 now and I'm not feeling that bad. It's gone up and down really throughout the night. I'm feeling a bit headachy and I'm mostly tired in my eyes, but I don't really feel like getting up and doing any experiments. But I found going outside for a couple of minutes helps, just to be cold because it's a bit warm in here. Sort of wakes you up a bit, and watching a scary film kind of made me a bit more alert.
I know I should be grateful, but it feels like my night's sleep is over all too quickly.
Good morning.
No! Get out! I haven't finished sleeping.
We could see you sleeping now in awake stage, so that's why we came to wake you up.
I don't feel at all well rested. I feel like a zombie.
Morning, Jack.
Dr. Van.
How did it go last night?
It was blissful.
Well, we'll tell you exactly when you dreamt and how much you dreamt. Can't tell you what you dreamt about. Do you know what you dreamt about?
Yeah, it involved my mum and Princess Diana. It was a bit strange.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at it all and we'll talk through some results.
Great.
Take it off your head.
Oh, that is bliss.
Sorry about this.
Ow. Ah.
Sorry. Would you like some breakfast? Maybe tea, coffee?
Yeah.
Just time for a bite to eat and a quick shower before I meet Dr. Venn for a debrief. And I'm a little nervous about what he'll find.
Nice to see you.
How you doing? You
Come
well?
and have a seat and we'll have a look at your results.
So how did I do?
Well, we found some interesting results. How much sleep do you think you got? What was it like for you?
Tossing and turning all night. I got very little.
Really? Okay. There were long periods of time where you were awake and there were quite a lot of arousals from sleep. But you also had some good sleep and your sleep architecture was normal. So we can have a look through that if you like.
But what do you mean by sleep architecture?
So your sleep architecture are your phases and depths of sleep. So sleep is not just one thing. We used to think it was until about 50 years ago, but now we know that it has lots of depths and planes, and of course we go into dreaming sleep and non-dreaming sleep cyclically. So we have to put all that together like a jigsaw. And if it's not together like a jigsaw properly, you don't get the refreshment and the function out of sleep that you really need.
So were there any surprises in my data?
Well, there were, actually, yes, and we can have a closer look at those in a minute. Your breathing is not quite as good as it could be, and there were little patches where you snored, and there were 1 or 2 little patches where your breathing was actually compromised and you almost stopped breathing altogether. Now, people will snore more when they're on their back, but you did it on your side too. And there's one very good patch where you actually woke yourself up with that problem. And we've got all that documented.
Should I be worried about this?
No, not at this stage at all. This is simply not bad enough to require any treatment at the moment, but it's just something that we did find as an incidental finding. So, normal sleep architecture, you'll go to sleep, you'll go down into deep sleep, what we call N3 sleep, called delta waves. And you'll stay there for, hopefully, about 90 minutes. Then we come up to our first dreaming cycle. Then we may have some more deep sleep after that. And then we'll have a second dreaming cycle. And then most of the rest of the night is spent in dreaming and lighter sleep, stage 2 sleep. And that's why you can reduce your sleep time at the end, but you're still getting that deep sleep in the beginning, and you will then function well the next day. So if we shorten sleep, we still keep that deep sleep at the beginning, and that's very important.
I had one really strange dream. So the dream was quite emotional. I remember being very frustrated, and it was quite amusing as well because of the people involved. So I'm quite intrigued to know what was going on in my brain, body, and soul during the course of that dream.
You were awake here until just after 10:30 when you went off to sleep. You came up into your first dreaming period, which was around about 10 to 12, and you then dreamt fairly solidly until about 20 past 12, and at that point you woke up. We can tell what's happening from the shape of the brain waves, which look much more like they do when you're awake.
So after my big dream, what happened during the rest of the night?
Well, he went back to sleep after a short period of time. Now, this point here was very interesting because at 2 o'clock precisely, you woke up, suddenly moved onto your back and shook your right leg violently.
I remember having to unravel myself a few times during the night.
Well, shall we have a look at it? Because this will show that point.
Do you beg to differ?
No, I don't think you're trying to untangle the wires there.
No, you're right.
I think this is going on in your sleep. And then more dreaming here, mixed with lighter sleep before we terminated the study. So broadly, we could say that your sleep architecture is normal. You've got deeper sleep at the beginning, you've got lighter sleep mixed with dreaming for the second half of the study.
It's a relief to know I'm normal-ish, and incredible to find out how complex a night's sleep really is. I've genuinely learned a thing or two. But even with all that advanced equipment, Dr. Venn and his team were not able to tell me what happened during my dream. That's something personal that you can choose to tell or keep to yourself. That is, until Pete Heat came along.
Hello. We're going to do a little experiment now involving the subconscious, which sounds pretty dramatic and exciting. But basically, here I have something called a dream diary, which is a little notebook. And basically, the idea is with a dream diary, every morning when you wake up, you try and write down anything you can remember about the dreams you had. And it's a way of keeping track of, supposedly, what your subconscious is doing when you're asleep, so what your brain's up to when you're not aware of it. And this is mine, okay? I'm going to give this to you to hold on to for a second if I can, all right? And I'm going to get you, if you're up for it, to sort of have a dream of your own, or rather, I'm going to get you to imagine that you're dreaming. So, can I get you to close your eyes for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And I want you to imagine that you're just drifting off. You're in bed, you're just drifting off, you're starting to sleep, you're in a dream. So you look around you, and you're in some kind of location. You're, obviously you could be anywhere because it's your dream. You could be somewhere you've never been before. It could be somewhere every day, really common. Have you got somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you, in fact, yeah, go on, say it out loud for me.
Amsterdam.
You're in Amsterdam. Okay, cool. All right, so you're in Amsterdam. Okay, and imagine you're walking through Amsterdam, you stop because you've noticed something on the floor in front of you. It's an object of some kind. It could be anything. It could be a small object, a big object, anything you want. This is entirely up to you. But you pick it up, okay, and you look at it. What is it?
A wallet. A
wallet. Okay, cool. So you picked up a wallet in Amsterdam. But you look at it, there's not much in it, you put it back down on the floor again. So for some, I don't know why you do that, but you do. It's a dream, you can do whatever you want. And you carry on walking. And it's at this point that you look to your right and you notice there's an animal or a creature, there's some kind of living thing that you don't like the look of. For whatever reason, it's giving you the creeps. It doesn't have to be a scary animal, it could be something that just for whatever reason is creeping you out right now. But what is it? Have you got something in your mind already? Yeah.
Elephant.
An elephant, okay. So there's an elephant that's creeping you out in Amsterdam, of course. This is getting more and more random, which is good, because that's how dreams work. And so you look at this elephant, you don't like it, you start to walk away in the other direction, and as you walk away, you start to wake up. And as you wake up, open your eyes for me. Brilliant, okay. So we've just created a little weird, surreal combination of images in your head there. Okay, now this dream diary that you've been holding from the very moment we met, that's true, right? You genuinely, you've been holding it from the moment we met. It's only got one entry in it, in fact, and it's more of a prediction than a diary. It's just something that I thought might happen today. If you open that up for me, and just look on the first page, and could you read that out loud?
You're in Amsterdam, you stop to pick up a wallet, and you eventually get scared off by an elephant.
What the hell?
Walking through the dream, you stop to pick up a black notebook.
A black notebook.
And you wake up after seeing a tiger. What? I've been holding it. What? I don't know.
Come on, you got to tell me now.
No way. So you are in Japan.
Japan, good.
You stopped to pick up some martial arts equipment.
Oh, close enough.
You were scared off by a panda.
I thought we'd pick up on him trying to give us like hints of what to think.
Whatever she thought of, she just thought up on the spot, and then to have like a book that he'd been carrying around before we even started filming that had that in it is just so weird.
You know, the fact that I got a black notebook for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's why you were thinking about like how that would be.
I don't know. This is, yeah.
When it comes to falling asleep, sometimes our brains take the driving seat, whether we like it or not. Okay, imagine you're driving a car and you're beginning to get very tired. We're mimicking what happens when you have a microsleep, an episode of light sleep lasting 5 to 10 seconds. In a monotonous situation like driving, the brain can go to sleep involuntarily, and you could start seeing things that aren't there, and missing things that are. In fact, pretty much everyone has experienced one of these episodes at some point in life, but we usually just pass it off and assume that we zoned out for a few seconds, when in actual fact, we were technically sleeping. When you're driving, the results can be fatal. It's estimated that almost 20% of accidents are sleep-related. So, be aware when it's happening to you, or you won't know what's real and what's in your head. Whether it really was a dog in the road, a children crossing sign, and child with a football, or if you were just dreaming. If you find yourself feeling really sleepy at the wheel, just stop what you're doing and grab some sleep.
Our guinea pigs have been awake now for over 24 hours. Not nice. So let's go and find out how they're doing.
I'm back with Dr. Venn.
Yeah, not too bad myself, yeah.
I'm like this lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go and see what's happening.
Who's going to help me observe the changes in the student's ability to function.
Good morning. How you doing? Oh, bleary eyes. Thank you so much for doing this. Did you have a good night?
Not too bad.
I think the deprivation's showing.
So what did you do to keep yourself up all night?
Some ball games, cards, a few movies.
Can you bear to just give us one final hour, please, to do a bit of testing? Oh, that's really good of you. Okay, let's get going.
Time to repeat those same tests we did on them last night.
I feel like I could sleep for days and days. Light's very sensitive right now.
Just pretty drowsy, pretty lethargic, and my mind's definitely not up to speed. I tried to remember my phone number earlier, and that just didn't work, so...
Everything's slowly falling away. I would like this all to be over.
My head feels kind of foggy. My eyes feel really heavy.
Got like a dull ache and sort of pressure behind my eyes. I don't really want to do anything. I'm really glad I'm getting a taxi home.
The parts of the brain called upon to complete these tasks have clearly dropped in performance. The reason? Our brains rely on a type of sugar called glucose for fuel, but during sleep deprivation, the brain just doesn't get enough.
For me, our biggest hit in terms of comparing before and after the sleep deprivation in our tests was the reaction time with the ruler. You ready?
Yep.
Yep. On average, it was precisely 33% longer that it took them to grab the ruler. Does the size of the change surprise you at all?
No, I don't think so, not after a night's sleep deprivation. And there, of course, were 1 or 2 times where the ruler was dropped altogether, which didn't happen in the first test. So the hand-eye coordination was probably suffering a little bit as well.
Which brings us nicely onto the calculation, counting down from 100. Well, we switched it up, didn't we? We suspect that they've been practicing overnight, knowing that they're competitive young people. So some of them started on 101, some of them 102, some of them 103.
AC9.
6. 1.
4.
They all seem to do much worse than yesterday. I think they took longer to complete the calculation task than they did last night.
But it was interesting that it seemed to sort of change over the course. They seemed to fatigue more quickly. What did you make of that?
Generally speaking, the accuracy was okay, but the time was quite severely delayed. There seemed to be a sort of progressive disengagement. They just didn't seem to want to go on. They were getting slower and slower. It's as though the brain was just running out of willpower to be bothered to do this any longer.
Yeah. So moving on, deviation from the line as they were walking down it. Last night, I was actually quite surprised by how accurately they walked down it. And then, of course, today, things were very different.
What was quite interesting was that, yes, they were much worse today, all except one of them actually deviated off persistently to the right-hand side, sort of indicating that they're not so interested in the left-hand side of what's going on in the world. The right-hand side seems to be more dominant. Well, that would suggest some sort of parietal function, and I think that's something that would be interesting to look at.
I was expecting them to fumble the tongue twisters a lot more than they actually did. And I definitely think that there was a bit of a training effect going on, which is why we added the curveball of a brand new tongue twister.
Give me the gift of a tip-top sock, a drip drape.
Ship shape. No, it's too low.
Ruby Rugby's brother bought and brought her back.
And brought her back some baby buggy bump. Sorry, could I have it again?
Ruby's brother. What? Was that right?
And brought her back some baby.
Buggy bumpers. I don't remember it.
What were your sort of observations on that particular task?
I think there was a learning element to it. The two new curveballs that we threw in demonstrated that they were really unable to even memorize the sentence that they were trying to say. So it wasn't just a question of the fact that they couldn't get their tongues around the words so much, they couldn't remember the sequence of the words either. So actual memory seems to be impaired there as well as the ability to actually use speech sensibly.
So just as you predicted last night, that would be one of the first things to go, the prefrontal cortex was basically not functioning properly. Time to release the students to their beds. So our volunteers have now gone home. Probably right now they're curled up in bed. Is it going to take them a few days before their sleeping patterns go back to normal?
Well, we've disrupted their sleep for one night, and I suspect what's going to happen is they will probably be in bed now and they will sleep until about lunchtime or 2 o'clock this afternoon. They'll get up and go about their daily business, and they will go to bed tonight, and things will get fairly back to normal quickly because their circadian rhythm is fairly robust and they have a sleep-wake cycle which we've tried to disrupt, but only over a very brief period of time. More problems come where you work at night, and shift workers, of course, are the big example of this, and several nights in a row you are turning the world on its head, getting up at night and going to work and then coming home in the morning and going to bed. And I think we do have a problem in society with shift work and patterns of shift work, and we certainly see a lot of that in the Sleep Disorder Centre with deprivation of sleep and the consequences of it.
And of course, we've demonstrated some of these symptoms of sleep deprivation very nicely over the course of this experiment. So thank you very much. So there you have it. Sleep deprivation screws around with your reaction times, coordination, working memory, and mental arithmetic. But fear not, we're designed to deal with the occasional night of nocturnal disruption. It's only being robbed of sleep for several consecutive nights that severely knocks your day-night cycle out of kilter. And given all those nasty medical complications that result from chronic sleep deprivation, your brain really will thank you if you manage to crank up your sleeping time to 7 to 8 hours per night. Our volunteers have just had an insight into life with disrupted sleep. For them, it's one night only. But for narcolepsy sufferers Amelia and Michael, this becomes a way of life. They're both under the care of Dr. Paul Redding.
Your sleep-wake cycle becomes unstable. You can't maintain wakefulness for more than a couple of hours, and you can't maintain the state of sleep for more than a couple of hours. And in particular, the REM sleep state is particularly disrupted. So elements of REM sleep, be it visual imagery of dreams or paralysis, will leak into the wakeful state to cause cataplexy and sleep paralysis, for example.
Sufferers face a long road ahead, living with their condition indefinitely in the hope that there may one day be a cure.
Now we know that it's a neurochemical deficiency in most cases. The options of replacing that chemical are coming forward, but unfortunately we haven't yet to achieve that goal. So far we haven't found the magic tablet.
But one of Dr. Redding's patients has found an unlikely way to make her condition disappear entirely. When her sister encouraged her to join an aerial acrobatics class, she made an amazing discovery.
I was really nervous at first to come because I was thinking, oh God, if I get up there and my cataplexy goes, I'll just fall.
A year and a half ago, she never left the house. So to come here 2-3 times a week sometimes is absolutely amazing. Cataplexy works on strong emotions. Now, if she had a cataplectic attack while she's hanging upside down from a hoop, she loses all control of her muscle. She could have fell. For some reason, when she does this, she never suffers with any sort of cataplexy at all, because I think she must be concentrating so much on her moves. She isn't getting any kind of strong emotion. She's just trying to do it so right. It helps her a lot with her condition.
From doing absolutely nothing all day to come in here, it was quite hard work, but when I don't go, I feel more exhausted. When with narcolepsy, like anything you do, you get more exhausted, but it gives us more energy to come here. It's like a positive energy. It's just like I'm in a trance and like I'm concentrating so hard that nothing really distracts us, and like it's really strange because as soon as I'm down and I'm laughing, I'm down on the ground again with my cataplexy.
Seeing her now and seeing what she can do, and all come to the show when they do the shows here, it just feels like your heart would burst with pride, because we've seen her at her very, very worst.
I started college this year and I'm on a level 3 art and design course. I'll be able to like resit my GCSEs and have the qualifications that I couldn't quite have when I was ill. I feel a lot more confident in myself, and it feels quite good actually. Like it kind of makes us proud of myself.
Now Amelia can hopefully look forward to a future where she's able, like the rest of us, to spend her days living her life to the full rather than sleeping them away.
So, did we keep you awake during the show? Will you think differently the next time your head hits the pillow?
Studies of this mysterious state of unconsciousness we call sleep are providing new clues about what it does for the body and mind. It not only refreshes and re-energizes, but cleanses the brain of toxins and supports learning and memory. In fact, if we make sure we get enough, it slows down age-related cognitive decline and even dictates how long we'll live. When the brain's finely tuned ability to control our sleep goes wrong, it can have life-changing consequences. Conditions like Amelia's are providing brand new insights into how and why our brains switch on and off in such precise patterns. Above all, research being carried out by sleep experts proves just how vital those 7 to 8 hours really are.
Together, these remarkable people are helping to bring us ever closer to unlocking the incredible secrets of the brain.